And Nelson Mandela, the name resonates across the globe, synonymous with peace, forgiveness, and the triumph over adversity. His journey from political prisoner to South Africa's first black president is a testament to the power of resilience and the enduring human spirit. Mandela's image, carefully cultivated during his imprisonment and presidency, became a beacon of hope for oppressed people worldwide. However, behind the iconic image of the elder statesman, a figure of immense complexity emerges. Mandela's life was a tapestry woven with threads of unwavering conviction, strategic brilliance, and personal sacrifice. Examining these complexities is crucial to understanding the man behind the myth and the full impact of his legacy on South Africa. By delving into the lesser-known aspects of his life, we gain a more nuanced understanding of the man who helped dismantle apartheid and shape modern South Africa. Mandela's early life was shaped by the pervasive injustice of apartheid South Africa. Born in a small village in the Eastern Cape, he witnessed firsthand the systemic discrimination and brutality inflicted upon black South Africans. Initially, Mandela's activism was rooted in non-violent resistance. He joined the African National Congress in 1944, advocating for equal rights through peaceful protests and civil disobedience. However, the South African government's increasingly repressive tactics, including the Sharpeville massacre of 1960, forced a shift in the ANC's approach. Mandela, along with other key figures, formed Umkhonto we Sizwe, the ANC's armed wing. This marked a turning point in Mandela's life and the struggle against apartheid. The decision to engage in armed struggle was a calculated risk, a response to the state's violence. While MK's operations aimed to minimize civilian casualties, the use of violence remains a contentious aspect of Mandela's legacy. The decision to resort to armed struggle was a morally complex one, and Mandela himself grappled with the ethical implications. He maintained that violence was a last resort, justified by the state's brutality and the ANC's commitment to achieving liberation by any means necessary. Mandela's role in MK's activities led to his arrest in 1962. He was charged with sabotage and other crimes, eventually sentenced to life imprisonment in 1964. The trial, widely condemned as a political show trial, transformed Mandela into an international symbol of resistance. His resilience, dignity, and unwavering belief in the justice of his cause continued to inspire hope for a free and democratic South Africa. While Mandela's public persona was defined by his political activism and imprisonment, his personal life was equally complex. His relationships with his wives, Evelyn Mace and Winnie Madikizela Mandela, and his children were deeply affected by his revolutionary activities. Mandela's dedication to the struggle often came at the expense of his personal life. His first marriage to Evelyn Mace ended in divorce in 1958. His second marriage to Winnie Madikizela Mandela was also marked by separation and personal tragedy. Mandela's relationship with his children was deeply affected by his political life. After decades of struggle and international pressure, the apartheid regime began to crumble in the late 1980s. Mandela's release from prison in 1990, after 27 years of confinement, marked a watershed moment in South African history. His release ushered in a period of delicate negotiations and political transition. South Africa stood at a crossroads, grappling with the legacy of apartheid and the challenges of building a new democratic society. Mandela's leadership during this period was crucial. He played a pivotal role in negotiations with the government, advocating for a peaceful transition to a multiracial democracy. His commitment to dialogue and reconciliation, even with his former oppressors, was instrumental in preventing a descent into chaos and civil war. The transition to democracy was not without its challenges, as South Africa remained a deeply divided society. Mandela's government faced the immense task of addressing systemic inequalities, promoting economic development and fostering national unity. Despite the euphoria surrounding the end of apartheid, South Africa continued to grapple with deep-seated problems. Mandela's government inherited a legacy of poverty, inequality, and social fragmentation. The transition to democracy did not immediately translate into economic and social justice for all South Africans. The gap between rich and poor remained vast, and millions continued to live in poverty, lacking access to basic services. While Mandela's government implemented various social and economic reforms, progress was slow and often insufficient. The challenges of poverty, unemployment, and crime persisted, fueling frustration and disillusionment among many black South Africans. The legacy of apartheid continued to cast a long shadow, hindering efforts to create a more just and equitable society. One of the most remarkable aspects of South Africa's transition was its commitment to truth and reconciliation. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission, established in 1995, aimed to address the atrocities committed during the apartheid era. Mandela's government believed that confronting the past, however painful, was essential for healing the wounds of the past and building a more just future. The TRC, chaired by Archbishop Desmond Tutu, provided a platform for victims of apartheid-era human rights violations to share their stories and for perpetrators to seek amnesty in exchange for full disclosure. The process was deeply emotional and often harrowing, exposing the brutality of the apartheid regime and the resilience of its victims. Mandela's support for the TRC was unwavering, believing that forgiveness was essential for national healing and reconciliation. The TRC's work, while imperfect, played a significant role in acknowledging past injustices and promoting a culture of dialogue and understanding. Nelson Mandela's legacy is a complex one. He is revered as a global icon of peace, forgiveness, and the triumph of the human spirit. His commitment to justice and resilience continued to inspire people worldwide. His leadership during South Africa's transition to democracy was instrumental in preventing a bloodbath. Mandela's life and work remind us that even in the face of adversity, it is possible to overcome hatred and build a more just world.